All right. Thank you for joining this session on the Leganto new user experience. We're really excited to be showing this to you today, and we're really looking forward to also getting your questions and your feedback. You can submit questions or comments in the chat. You have some different options. Assuming I set it up right, you have some different options for the chat. You can send chat messages to everybody. You can send them just to me. I'm logged in as the Leganto team right now, so you can send them just to me, or you can send them to all panelists. I believe those are the options that you have. We will take time out of the session to address as many questions as we can. We have a pretty large group of attendees today, so if there's anything that we don't get to, we'll definitely follow up with answers for those questions. But with that, I will pass it over to you, Dilov.
So hi everyone, thank you Jessie for the opening. And what I want to do is first of all to share my presentation. Okay, so we're going to talk today about this new user experience of Leganto, and it's a great opportunity for us. It's actually the first official demo, well, not the first was in the morning, so it's the second official demo of Leganto. Of the new UI. I will start with talking a bit about the process, only a bit, and then I will show the new UI live and you can enjoy it. If you have questions, again, put them in the chat. Now, before starting, I just want to say that we did a long process with this new UI. We started more than a year ago, even more than a year and a half ago. And we started with research. And one of the things we did when we designed the system, before even starting to develop anything, is we tried it on instructors and we tried it on the users that would use the system later on. Now we recorded their feedback, and recently we asked for their permissions also to share their voices and to show you how they reacted to our interface. It was very exciting for us to hear these reactions at the first time, and now I also want to share it with you. So it's a short video, and I need to stop because I need to share it with sound. So again, share it. Okay. Let's get back to sharing. Okay, so enjoy.
No, I think it runs really smoothly.
It seems like I could go from what I am already familiar with the old Leganto, and pretty easily and quickly get up to speed with this version.
It is visually much easier to kind of navigate around, and definite improvement.
Icons and navigational cues that the user would be already familiar with in other environments. And that's really key. So the 3 dots, the share, the collapse or the expand, that's all great.
This is set out much more cleanly than the previous one, can I tell you, which is also like way too much information on the page. This is a much simpler view.
Ooh, this is fun. I love it.
I wish to goodness I'd had it when I was teaching, quite frankly. I would have loved something like this.
Good job to all of you engineers for putting this awesome product together.
So this was the first initial phase of when we Leganto. And now a bit about what we are going to do today. I will give you some background of the project, then we will do a demo, a real live demo on the new UI, the first one. You're seeing a beta. Some things might not work perfectly, but you will see how mature this product is, and in 3 months it will be ready for you also. So some things that are good to know, I'm also covering this, and then about the transition and the questions overall about the new UI, and then you can ask some questions. We will have time for questions in the end. So Leganto new user experience, we first of all, we have new technology that we're using. We've developed it fresh. Again, every spring we've developed again in a new technology. So it is something that we did. It's also a very clean and design view. It means that the layout is very smart. You have improved navigation, you have easier access to resources. You have all of these great advantages of a clean, very easy design. It's also the fact that it's very clean also make the interface very intuitive. We have intuitive workflows. We thought about them end to end, that they will be easy and the orientation will be quick. We know that some of the users of Leganto are experts and are trying every feature, while others log in every semester like they are new users. So we wanted to approach both types of users. So a new user that is only coming to the system once a semester, we want them to have a quick orientation without the need to read anything and just be able to start working with the system. Instructors and students can have different needs, and hence they have different views. So they can each view exactly what they need. We had the different views for instructors and students in the previous Leganto, but now we separated them even more. They look different, they behave different. It's different types of needs, and hence we have different types of interfaces for both of them. So this new user experience and all these great values don't come from just for free. We worked very hard on them, and I think the most important part is that we did a massive research. It wasn't only a one-time question that we asked some person, but it was a massive, long process of research, from talking to instructors initially to talking to instructors at the second time to working with the library and with the focus groups. We had 2 focus groups working on this project, 2 separate focus groups. One on the beginning of the project, the other was when we developed the project. We have early adopters now that are testing the system. Many librarians participated in this process, and I believe some of you are in the audience, so thank you. And it's important to know this because even the small tweaks matter, and we did think a lot about the bigger ones and the smaller ones. Some key considerations in this new UI, we did learn from the research, and we also that the most important things are to differentiate between instructors and students because they have different needs. To make sure we focus on the learning management system, where your users are, your students, your instructors are using the system from the learning management system. And of course, the option to adapt to the user context to make sure that the thing that you are doing at the moment is the most important thing, and this is what we want you to remember. So these were some key considerations of ours in the new UI. And these were my slides for the previous year. This is the Leganto of today. This is the Leganto of tomorrow. This is a mock-up. But I don't want you to see a mock-up today. I want you to see the real interface. So I will start by showing the new UI. Okay. Okay, so this is a Canvas, and I'm logging in today from Canvas. I usually demo Leganto from Canvas. I know there are also Moodle, Blackboard, D2L. They are all in our development phases. We look at all of them at the same amount of time, and our QA does QA on all of them. It's easiest to me to demo on Canvas because of the settings, but it's not, but the development process and everything that you see today is relevant for all the different learning management systems, and it's important for me to highlight it. So we're logging into Canvas. And here we have different courses, and one of these courses, I will go into one of these courses. This is a course that I'm studying as a student. I am an instructor in the institution, but I also take some courses for my free time. So imagine that now I'm a student, and I'm going to my reading list for this course. And this reading list was designed for students. It means that everything here should be very clear for me. You can see that the headline is very clear. You can see that I have all the metadata in front of me. I have the types. If I have availability, you can see that I can download or view the PDF. Everything is very clear. Everything is written in front of my face. It's very easy for me to find my way in this reading list. When I want to learn something about this item, I can open it and I can see the links and availability and focus on the links if I want, or if I need the metadata and I want to understand something about the item, I can also see it. So these are the item details. And since this is a very clean view, I can see if my instructor created a note for me, if there isn't a tag that I should know about. Everything is very clear for me and very easy to do. When I'm an instructor, I will go to another course now. And here I'm an instructor, and this is actually a new course. So you can see that I don't have anything in this course. I'm just starting. I want to build my reading list. So I'm opening my reading list. I am going to build it now. And let's delete this one. It's from the morning session. I wanted to start without a reading list. So I have here two main options for me to do if I don't start with a reading list. Of course, if I start with a reading list, you've seen I get to the reading list. So here I have two options. One is to create a new list, and the other one is to select an existing list and do something with it. I can also ask my library to create my list. If you enable this option, it's still available. This screen replaces the first screen in Leganto where you create a reading list from Leganto from the learning management system, and it's a simpler screen because we limited the amount of options here. So if I want to create a new list, for example, you can see that the course is already added to my list. So I can add my course and I can add a title and I can just do it from here. Or if I want, I can go to the select existing reading list. And here I have all these options to select from. So I have the different lists to select from. I also can search them, can add sort and the filter. If I want, I can play with it and search not my lists, but all lists and select different lists. When I choose a list that I want to use, I can either duplicate it or link to this course. So if the library have created the list for me and they just didn't link it to my course, I can do it myself. I can link it to my course. If I want, I can also duplicate the list. And if I'm duplicating the list, I get to this screen and I have again the course number, so I don't need to find it out, and I have it already here for me. And I also have something new here. I have the advanced settings. So the advanced settings are basically for two things. One, they replace the instructor rollover. It means that we only, instead of two functionalities, duplicate and instructor rollover, we now have only one. The fact is that instructors are confused all the time between rollover and duplicate, and we wanted to simplify their process. So we wanted them to have one option to copy courses for the next semester or copy courses for another reason. The advanced settings will be all the settings that you currently have in the rollover. They also serve another need. All the advanced settings here, some of them were we had discussions about in idea exchange, in different mails and correspondence with you. The reason we had discussions about them, it's that it's not clear if you want to copy tags from the previous semester or not. If you want to copy the due dates because it's the same semester or you don't. So these are different things that it's not clear for us what duplicate should do. Sometimes this and sometimes that. So we decided to create these advanced settings. And you have here the advanced settings that I configured for the instructors in our demo environment. These are the settings that we've configured. You can configure other settings and you can decide if you want a default for one of these settings and you don't want the instructors to use it or to worry about it. You can also decide about it. So you have the option to give the instructors more options or less. And if there are simple instructors that don't care about all this configuration, they can just keep the advanced settings and just create a list. Okay, so this is the list I created and I prepared it in advance. And what you can see here is you can see all the citations. It's very clear view of the citations. So all the citations are very clear, very prominent. We have less information on the citation on purpose. You can see how much information there is on my screen. There is these columns on the side from Canvas. There is other information on my screen. So we wanted to limit the information that the instructor sees so they can actually drag and drop the citations. We got some comments about this new limitation. It's good for instructors, but it's bad for librarians, and we know it. This is why we are going to develop to add metadata for librarians. So we will add a third view, and we will add the metadata for librarians later on. It's something that we are aware about. We are aware of. Again, it's a good thing that we are working with the community and we got this feedback from the community early. So we also have a plan to show you. So these are examples of the citations. And one of the things that you probably notice is that the statuses are different. So we have here draft, and it wasn't a status ever in the reading list. So the statuses in Alma are kept the same. You still have the same status in Alma for each item. But in Leganto, we wanted you to see, we wanted the instructors to see statuses that they care about, statuses that they understand. So if this item is a draft, they can understand they're still working on it and it's still a draft. When I will send it to the library, it will be changed. And when I send it to complete, when you change it to complete, it will also be changed. If I want to edit these items and I'm just browsing through my list and I want to edit some of the items, I will pick both of these items and I want to add, first of all, I want to add some dates to it. So I can add, first of all, for example, due date for tomorrow for both items at the same time. I can play with the tags. For example, I can remove the tag. I can add a tag, for example, essential, if I want to add essential to these tags. And I can add notes. So again, if I want, I can add a note, read. And I can also mark it as bold if I want, or underline. So it's very easy to control these notes. Other actions that I have here, I can export these citations, and I can also add them to my favorites. So these are actions that I can do from these bike actions. And it's very easy for me to do this. One last thing I can do here is move the items up and down very easily. So for accessibility reasons, this is very easy to move the items up and down in the list, much easier than other solutions. So these are the things that I have here. Let's stop editing for a minute and let's add a new item. So I can search the library for a new item. I am copying the item name, but of course, it is also something I can type here just for the convenience of. So here I found the items that the item that I was looking for, and I want to drag and drop it to my list, and I just added it to my list. I will close this one, and I have this new item ready on my list for my course. If I want, I can look at the full details of this item, and I can see all the information. I can see the due dates, I can see the student note, I can see all the information that I can edit on the citation as well. I can see the links. So there are different links to this item, the related items. Here I don't have any related items, so you can see that I don't have them. And I can see item details. So these are the item details. This is the metadata. If I want to focus here, I can focus here. I can decide where to focus and where to put my attention. If I am looking to understand the details of the item, I can look here. But if I want to see the links to availability, I can see here very prominent, very easily. And also, if I want to focus on the library discussion and my conversation with you, it's also here. So other options that I have on the citations itself, first of all, I can open the citation and see all the information, the important information for me here. I can share this item. I can share this item and just copy a shareable link, or later on you will have here also an LTI link that you can share. So it will be very easy for instructors to share items both in the learning management system and outside of the learning management system. And you can see the citation menu, which is cleaner. I have less items on this menu. Again, we want them to focus on the most important things that they need to do. We don't want them to be confused by many options. So for example, one of the options that we removed is the option to mark as done. It still exists for students, but it doesn't exist for instructors because instructors don't really need it. So again, we want them to focus on the things that really matter, on the things that are really important. And you can see how intuitive everything that they showed up until now is, and how easy it is to understand the system. If I get to my list is ready, this is the new button. It's a new button for UIT list. We previously had publish and send list, and some of you had both buttons at the same time on the screen. Some of you had both of them in the menu, or one of them in the menu, one of them in the screen. Anyway, it is very confusing for instructors to understand what they can do. What is their next step? So what we offered instead is this button. It can behave in different ways. One of the ways it can behave is it can send all the items to the library and the library will publish. It can also publish the list if you decide to publish it. And it can also, all these options are optional. You can choose them in Alma, the configuration in Alma, just to make sure you understand. So it can either publish the list, it can either, so it can publish the list, it can send the list to the library, and it can do the third thing, which is sending the list to the library, but also allowing me as an instructor, giving me the option and the freedom to publish it. So I can check mark this, and you can say that it's for all students, or I can choose when I'm publishing it to, if it's enabled. If it's disabled, it's not there. And then I can decide to send it to the library. So I send it to my library, and you can see the result. And the list is ready for me. Okay, these are, we have also some options on the side, whether it's the upcoming due dates that you can see here, whether it's the suggestions, whether it's analytics. I don't have any analytics today, so you will see it empty, but when I do have analytics, you also have the option here to download the analytics. I don't have it because I just created the list. So you have this option. And you can also look at the discussion, the library discussion, and again, post for talk to your instructors in the library discussion. So this is our main view, our main point of view. And since I'm showing it from the learning management system, you're probably wondering, how do you switch a course? How do you change the user? How do you log in? How do you sign out? These are good questions. So in the learning management system, we don't offer these options. And the reason why we don't offer a user option or a course menu is because you are in the learning management system. We want you to feel like it's integrated, like it's one part. We don't show you anything outside of the learning management system. We gave the design, a very clean design, something that can work on all the learning management systems very well and very easy, and look like it's one system, it's a current system. So what you're looking at today is only the view from the learning management system. But since you are probably asking yourself, how do I get to the other view? You have this button over here to open Leganto in a new tab. And when you do, you get to all the Leganto functionality. So not only that you see this list and it's your filter for this list, and you see everything about this list, but also you can go to other reading lists. So if I go here, I can see my other reading lists. You can see that I'm now filtered on this course. You can see it's very clear that I'm filtered on this course. Course code contains this course in my list. Very obvious. We are talking in language, in real language, and not only in filters. So it helps to understand what's the status here. If I want, I can also start over and see all my reading lists here. So you can, we've changed the view of this search box. It was much wider, and what we did is we added a lot of the things that were here to the advanced search. The clean view helps you to go through the citations. This is your main focus now, to understand, to go through the reading lists. This is your main focus now, and you probably want to understand which reading list are you picking more than you want to know all the options. So again, we are trying to think about this from the user perspective and what the action that the user wants to do now. So this is my list. If I want to see all my lists, I can change it to all my lists and search them and write in my search for a specific list and find it here. So it's another option. When I go to my favorites, you can see that it's a different view. It doesn't look like a list. It looks similar to a list, but still I know that I'm not in a regular list. Something here is different in design, in the vibe. When I'm looking at this list, I have here more options in the item menu. I have the option to add to the list. I have the option to edit an item. I have an option to quick cite an item. Most of them are idea exchanges that came from you and we decided to develop. And it's good that you are giving us these ideas for us. We are adding them to the product as we go. We can also check mark these two items. And then you can see the bulk actions here, which is also new. So I can delete them, I can export them, I can add them to my list. So again, this is also something that is new to us and something that you can use when you are using Leganto. So up until now, it was a demo of Leganto, and I showed you everything that you should know about Leganto. What I want to do now is also show you that we have two for you that are available for you. One of these pages is the new UI known issues page. So this is available first for early adopters. So all the initial the initial known issues here are things that will be handled but in the early adopters period. So it's not relevant to most of you. Everything that is in Q4 will be delayed because we are publishing the new interface in September. So everything that comes in Q4 will be a delay. but it is not relevant for everyone. We try to match it to the start of your semesters, so we did think about it. Everything here is things that we've decided not to add to the new UX. For example, the list advisor, which we will not add to the new UX. So again, you can see this list here and see what we are adding and what we decided to remove from the new UX. And you can go this link, I will share this link, and it's also available for you from the release notes of Leganto. So it's Leganto, and when you get to the release notes, there is a link that takes you directly to Leganto new UI known issues. The other link that I want you to know about is the frequently asked questions link. You have here the timeline for the new UI. So we have started in June the early adopters period. We're starting to get a lot of feedback from early adopters. And we are very happy from this feedback. It's a very important group for us. And we already got, I think, 100 different feedbacks from these early adopters in the new UI, and it was really important for us, and it's still really important. In September, we will have a general release for the new UI, and I recommend moving during your academic break to this new UI. There are other information here. What is UX? If you're asking yourself when I'm talking what exactly is UX, some of you might. So there is an answer for it. It's the user experience, and we gave you an answer. What is UI again? And some other frequently asked questions that we've been asked and we've added here. So feel free to use these resources. These are for you. These are available for you. I think it's a good time for us to stop for questions.
Great. And there are lots of questions so far. Let me turn on my video here. So there are indeed lots of questions. I think I'll try to start with kind of the biggest ones. So there's a couple of questions about the librarian view that you mentioned. I think maybe if you could talk about the timeline, that would probably be anything you can say about that.
So actually the timeline is something that we need to decide upon. It depends on what we include eventually in the library view. We know that the first thing will be to add the metadata to the library view. If we want to add other information, it's something that we need still to consider. So this is something that we are waiting for feedback from the early adopters to decide upon.
Okay, great. There's a couple questions in here about specific labels in the UI. I'll say I answered a couple of them privately, but I'll say just as today, all of these labels are customizable. We have reviewed every single label in the new UI. I'll let you say a little bit more about that, Delav, but if you do have strong opinions on some of the labels that you saw today, I'm going to put an email address in the chat. So we'd be happy to have your feedback. The labels is also something that the early adopters are looking at. So if you saw a label and you thought, oh my gosh, what are they thinking? That's terrible. Please let us know. Of course, you can customize labels locally, but if you also have strong opinions, we would be very happy to hear them. So I don't know if you want to say anything else about labels, Delav, but I'll put an email address in the chat for any feedback that people have.
So maybe I will also add that we have new labels in the new UI, but we also copied your old labels for the old UI if the text was the same. We will share a list of the labels we copied. So it's about half of the labels, half of them are new, half of them are old. And we have less labels in the new UI, so it's also good news. I know it still works, but I need to say that we can't do a new user experience without touching the text. It is combined, goes together. If you handle one without handling the other, it's like you can have buttons with weird text on them, or the experience is not clear enough. So we had to touch the text. We tried to copy all labels as much as possible to the new UI.
Okay, great. Let's see, I'm trying to organize these into categories that make sense. Will can instructors still customize their list with multiple sections? For example, week 1, 2, 3, or required readings and suggested readings?
So yes, so instructors can add multiple sections. We didn't add the template functionality yet, which is the option to have predefined sections to the reading list. This is something that we will add later on, but definitely sections are part of it. I didn't show it today in the demo, but it's part of what we're doing.
Great. Does the view online button still appear on the main view of the reading list?
So is the view online button still appears on the main view of the reading list? So we had, I don't know if you noticed, but we had 3 different, we had, first of all, it's an answer for the student view and the instructor view, a different answer. For the student view, you see 3 buttons with text. One is the download, the other one is link, and the third one is the physical copy. For the instructor view, you can see you see them as icons, not as links, because this is less important information for instructors when they edit the reading list. Looking at the icons is enough for them.
Okay. Is view list as students still an option for instructors?
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Yes.
Great. There's a couple questions about rollover. How do you roll over a list in the new UI?
So rolling over, first of all, the new UI is a new view of what you already have, except from a few changes that we did in the configuration. What you did until now in Alma stays the same. So if you rolled over courses in Alma in a specific way, it stays the same. We didn't change it, and it's not going to be changed later on. So the only change is for the instructor rollover. We have the same configuration, but it looks different in the Alma side. And also you have these options also in the duplicate. It's the same configuration as rollover, which used the existing configuration for it.
Maybe related to that, I'll make a couple of comments because there's some other questions that are kind of related to library workflows. I'll summarize them rather than read them directly, but maybe the good thing to know is that the backend hasn't changed here. So there's a question about, the citation is marked as complete. Would we see that in Alma? Yes, you would. And this is, of course, based on your settings for what types of citations are going to be marked as complete. There's another one that says, does the new UI change any of the processes within reading lists in Alma? So no, your library workflows are not changed as a result of this new UI. It's more the experience of building reading lists in the Leganto interface, and then from the student perspective, accessing those reading lists. But any settings that you have related to processing reading lists, having things mark as complete automatically, those are the same. Those won't change here. There's another question here. The current UI has the cited option where you can add items from other websites to your reading list. Does the new UI have this option?
Same as the old UI in the same menu. This is why I didn't show it today. It's the same.
Right. Can we still set up important message to display?
So yes, we do support important message still.
Okay. There's a ton of questions here. I apologize for those of you that I haven't gotten to yet. I'm sure that there are big ones that we want to cover, but Delav, I don't know how much time you have left, and there are several questions in here about the timeline. When they can have it, when is the earliest date they can have it, can they have it earlier? There's lots of questions like that. Maybe the best approach is to let you keep going, and then I'll, in the meantime, look through all the rest of these questions and make sure that I know I've missed a ton, and I'm not doing that on purpose, but I'll kind of organize the ones we've covered and the ones we haven't covered. But I want to make sure you don't run out of time for the rest of your presentation.
So I don't have a lot of rest of the presentation because I knew there are going to be a lot of questions and I wanted to leave you time for it. But I will share a few slides. Just a minute. Okay. So I want to summarize what we try to do in the new UI first and tell you that for me, this is a picture of the old UI. Everything works great in the old UI. I do believe that it's a great system in the old UI, where you have all the directions that you can go in the old UI, and you have also the explanations. Still, what I think we are missing is this option for the new UI, which is if I don't want to read all the explanations, if I don't want to be an expert in the system, I still want to understand what is my main path in the system. And this was our focus in this project. We wanted to make sure there is a main path in this system, that it's intuitive enough to save you time, to not force you to support more instructors and actually have them self-service. And this was a big, this was our biggest value of the new UI, the biggest thing that we've tried to have, and I believe we have managed to achieve it. Some things that are good to know and things that you need to know about this new UI. So first of all, plan to switch. It's important. The new UI will be released in September 2023. It will be available. It is available now for early adopters, and it will be available for you from September. You don't have to switch in September. It's okay if you wait for your academic break. So please wait for the time that is more convenient for you. And still plan ahead, plan to switch. It is something that we expect from you, and it is something that, and you will not have this new UI available for after a year. We will have it only for a year. So we do want you to switch within this year and not after this year. So again, we encourage you to plan to switch to the new UI. Also, I can say that we will have gradual deployment. It means that you can choose in your pace what are you doing. You can look at the old UI while looking at the new UI. Starting from September, you will have both versions available for you. Your users will use the old UI, and you will have the option to set for yourself the new UI. So only you will see the new UI when you do your work, while your users will not. Or you can even just go to the link of the new UI and just use it without using the old links. So you can test the system, you can record the system, you can make sure that all the trainings are ready for you for the time when you want to switch. We will also support you. So we are currently working on documentation, on training, on things that we have on the website for Leganto at the moment, and we want to update. We want you to have an updated version of this. So we are working at the moment on these items. So plans to switch. Know that you have the option to look at both UIs and the training. Some questions I got in my previous webinar that I also want to answer here in case someone asks themselves, how do you enable this new UI? It's very easy. You only need to do something in Alma. You only need to change the configuration in Alma. It means that you don't have the institution IT support. You can also you can only use the admin of Alma to do this switch, to turn on the new UI. Once you do this simple switch, the new UI will be turned on in all links for all users everywhere in the learning management system, outside of the learning management system. So this is one thing that you should know. The second thing is that you don't need to move together with LTI 1.3. It's two separated options that you have available for you in Leganto. I do recommend checking out LTI 1.3. It's a protocol that gives Leganto, that connects Leganto better to the learning management system. It's a way that the learning management systems invented in order to connect these two. It's not actually the learning management system, it's IMS Global, but still the idea is that they invented this process that we are using to connect better between the learning management system and Leganto. And it means that if an instructors add something to their homepage, they can add a citation very easily to their homepage without copying any links or without just with mechanism that they have in the learning management system. Some institutions use this opportunity of the new UI to also move to LTI 1.3. I do recommend it. It does require the support of the IT of the institution, so it's up to you. Some of IT personnel are actually very happy to help with it because they are moving all the applications to LTI 1.3, and some other institutions it's less common. So it depends on you. It's not related. It's two projects. They can be separated and they can work together. That's it for me. And just to show you that we have this slide available for you. So again, we have the frequently asked questions and we have the known issues that I just showed you. Thank you.
Thanks, Talav. You gave me time to get a little bit organized here with the chat, so I appreciate that. I think I got all the ones I hadn't answered before, but there's a lot of questions about the switch. So I think I'll start with those. I have the impression some folks might be a little bit nervous. So can we see the new UI in production for testing and training before implementing, or should we go through the sandbox for testing and training?
So I don't know if I answered it already or if it's a new question, but still what we want to do is you can see the new UI. The new UI will be available for you starting from September, and you will have a year to switch. So between the availability of the new UI and the actual switching date, you have the option to choose. You have the option to look at the new UI.
Yep, there's a couple more questions that are kind of related to this, so I think I'll just kind of summarize. You will be able to see the new UI in your production environment. You'll be able to see exactly your lists with exactly your configurations in the new UI, and you'll be able to do that without actually switching to the new UI. So you can test it. You can have everybody in your library test it. You can have specific professors or instructors test it if you like. It's totally up to you kind of how you make that decision. You can do as much testing as you need to, so you won't need to actually make the switch to see the new UI. You'll have a lot of options, and there are lots of options for things like seeing it in the learning management system, seeing it just in the standalone. So there's lots of flexibility there in terms of how you'll be able to see it. So I saw several questions related to that, so just to make sure that that is very clear. When you do make the switch, this is what Talav was saying. There's one configuration that you change, and then you're on the new UI. So the switch itself, once you make the decision to do the switch, is not sort of technically difficult to do. There's more questions about the date. So when you say switch this year, do you mean switch by the end of 2023 or before fall of 2024? There's another one that says, can you clarify, please, do we have to be switched by September 2024? Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yes, so we have a year of availability of this of the new UI from September 2023 to October 2024. This is the year. So after October, we will end life of the old UI and everyone will move to the new UI. We recommend moving in the time of your convenience. Otherwise, you can move when we move all the others. Yes.
And the goal of those dates was that everybody will be able to make the switch during an academic break. If you have a reason that you think that those dates won't work for you, please do reach out to us as soon as possible so that we can work with you. We really want to make this as smooth of a process as possible. We know it's not a small thing for you all to have to do, so we want to make it as smooth of a process as possible. So if you do have a reason that you're asking that question, please let us know. We want to work with you on that. There's another one here that says, do you need to book a slot to switch to the new UI?
So you don't need to book a slot to switch to the new UI. We will be available for support if you need us. but everything will be available for you. The option to switch, it's only a configuration in Alma that your admin can do. So no need to book a slot, but I encourage you to tell us when you are planning to switch, so we will make sure that we have the right support for you, if you know in advance.
There's another question. Is there any configuration in Alma or the learning management system that needs testing beforehand? I'll say for the Alma piece, there are a few things that we changed from some new options. Delav talked a bit about the My List is Ready button and the different options that are related to that. So we have been working on a document. Actually, our early adopters are using it now. So we expect to get feedback, but we're working on a document that tells you about the specific things that you would probably want to review. So there will be a couple of things, specifically configurations to kind of look at, but it's really not very many, and we'll share that information with you. Delav, I don't know if you want to say anything else about that.
No, I think it's
Okay.
answers the question.
Okay. Let's see. There are a couple questions about will we be able to share more demos and screenshots before September, as this is all very fast to take in the visual difference?
So first of all, we will share this recording so you can get back to it. So I guess it will make it less fast. We will share more information before September. We will, I don't know when exactly we will have a landing page that you can visit and see more information. It can be before September, it can be a bit after, but we will have this landing page ready for you.
Okay. Will the known issues list be updated to show which have and haven't been fixed and when?
It's updated regularly. This is what you've seen. You've seen all the updates from now on. So you even see known issues that are not relevant to you because the new UI is not out yet. So we do update it all the time. Now for the early adopters, later on for all of you.
Okay. So I'm going to go back now to the ones that came during your demo that I missed, we'll say. So there's one, we're excited about the active learning and annotation features in Leganto. Can you share more about if and how those features will work in the new UI?
So these features work the same as they used to in the new UI. We didn't touch them yet in the new UI. It means that when you click from the new UI on a button, you will see all the PDF viewer with all the options that you know about right now. So it's all available as you know it.
Do the icons on the right-hand side have hover text? They don't seem to be that intuitive to me, and I'm wondering about accessibility.
So yes, of course, all icons need to have hover text. It is part of our accessibility requirements and it's also part of good practices for us. So it has hover text. You can listen to it when you hear a screen reader. It's part of the development.
Great, thank you. For lists using the features that are not being moved over from the old UI into the new UI, like student private notes, what happens to the notes and things that already exist?
So first of all, student private notes might be the one thing that that I presented that will not be moved to the new UI, and then I saw it today when I talked about it in the demo. So apparently we added it without me knowing about it, which is nice. So this is the one example that is not relevant in this file, but there are other examples that are really relevant. There are new features that will not. Can you repeat the question? Because I forgot.
Yeah. For lists using features that are not being moved over from the old UI into the new UI, what happens to the data, basically?
So for features, well, the data is not deleted. Everything that you see in Alma stays in Alma. Everything that you can't see in Alma and can't see in Leganto is not relevant. So does it
I
answer?
think for this question,
analytics.
let me maybe I'll put this email address in the chat again. The example that's in this question was student private notes, and that one will be moved over. So if you have, I mean, you're welcome to use the chat as well. We're still here, but if you have something else that you're concerned about here, let us know, and we can address that specifically, because some of what's not coming over is not necessarily data. It's like a feature, like the list advisor is a good example. So there's not actually data associated with that. It's just something that displays kind of visually in the screen. But if there is something that you're worried about here, reach out to us and we can talk about that specific example. Let's see. Okay, so I'm trying to do better at keeping track of the ones I've asked here. Is there a time frame for when templates will be added to the new UI?
So yeah, I think there is a time. I don't remember the time frame yet. I don't remember if it's just a minute. I will open my. It's easier for me to look at the known issues. So I'm looking at the known issues, and there is.
Oh, sorry. There's a note here that it's not on the known issues page.
Okay. This
So
is
we'll
a
have
good.
to add it.
So we'll have to add it. The current plan is Q4. I don't know if we can commit to it. This is why I don't have it. We need to have it here anyway. It will be added to here.
Okay, there's a question, can the wording "my list is ready" be changed?
So you can change it for yourself. The question is why you are asking, because if we need to know about why you are asking, maybe it's relevant for others, and it's important for us to know.
Say it again. Feel free to use this email address to share your feedback with us, especially this type of thing. If you have a reason, we'd love to hear why you want to change it. If you think it should be something, if you have any suggestions, we'd love to have your feedback. The "my list is ready" button is one we talked about for a very, very, very long time. So we'd be very happy to hear what folks think about that. Let's see, can editing be turned off for instructors?
Editing be turned off for instructors. So yeah, you can decide who can edit the reading list. You can instructors can or can't edit the reading list. So depending on the permissions. This is the word I was looking for.
Right. Is it mobile friendly?
So not yet. This is indeed in the list of topics that we need to handle yet. It's not mobile friendly. It means that we do have a mobile support. We will use all the mobile support. We don't have it yet in the shape of the new UI. So you still have students still have the option to see the interface in mobile. And they still can see it in the old UI design and old UI workflows, and we are working to move it to the new UI. It will be ready later on.
Okay. There are just a handful of questions that I haven't gotten to yet, but we're right at time. Talav, I don't know if you want to say anything to kind of wrap up, but we can follow up on the couple of questions that we haven't addressed yet.
Yes, of course. And also, please feel free to use our email both for follow-up questions, and if we didn't answer your question because you want to elaborate, feel free to use the email in the chat. Thank you very much. And thank you, Jessie.
Yep. Thanks, everybody. We did record this session, so we'll share the recording with you. We'll share it with everybody who registered. So you should get that in the next couple of days. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.